everyone, I wanted to hop on here and talk about a few things that you might need to know on the topic of getting out and about. So if you have a urinary catheter, what to do if you have to leave the house, if you have an appointment, if you need to get groceries, if you have a car ride in your future, or even air travel in your near future. Just a few things you might need to know. Also, just how to get out and about and change from your main Foley catheter collection bag to one of the leg collection bags, how to do that. And if you're not so keen on that, there are a few options on how to just keep your same setup, but to kind of disguise that. So first thing I wanted to recommend is to have your discharge packet ready and also go through that. Be familiar with the information that is in that packet. Excuse me, on one of those pages there at the very front or very back of that discharge packet, you should have some information on how to reach out to the discharge care team. There might even be a discharge nurse that you could reach out to. I don't know if they're always after hours, but at least Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, there should be information on how to reach out to them. And if you have any questions about travel or how to get out and about and how to safely do that, you would be able to reach out to them. And I would definitely recommend having that at the ready and being familiar with your discharge packet. On the topic of travel, there will be specific information there that your doctor has given you orders for. Part of agreeing to surgery is also agreeing to his or her discharge care. So if they have told you to not drive for a week and a half, there's a medical reason for that. And I would recommend adhering to what they suggest, because just safety protocol, you want to make sure you are healing and getting better. That's the whole point of having this urinary catheter, is to allow your bladder to heal and get better. We don't want to have this any longer than necessary, right? So I have my urinary catheter for a little over 26 days. The first 4 to 7 days, I was instructed to not drive if at all possible. I was also instructed for the next 3 weeks, a little over 26 days, to not fly. It said any air travel over 4 hours is not really recommended, but if you do have to have like an emergency flight in your near future and you have to go, you do have, of course, the regular full catheter bag, the overnight collection bag, or the leg bags. And you might even ask for an extra one, especially for 3 weeks. I would ask the nurse, can I have 2 of these just in case, because these are really nice to have. So you can use those. The only thing is they don't hold as much urine, so we will get to that. But these need to be emptied. The leg bags need to be emptied much more frequently. You can't go multiple hours. I would say every 1 to 2 hours you need to be checking that, depending on how much you're drinking as well, fluids. Make sure that that is not getting overly full. So with air travel, anything over 4 hours is not suggested, but of course, if you have to, do what you have to do. You can have your regular cath bag or the leg bag. That would be fine. Mainly, it's checking on the catheter and making sure it is not overly full. Make sure you are checking the tubing to ensure that nothing is kinked or twisted or occluded in any way. You do want your urine continuously draining into whichever collection device you do opt with, and that things are not pooling or backflowing back into the bladder. If things do get overly full, that could happen, or your bag can rupture. So on the topic of air travel as well, you want to make sure, even on a short flight, an hour or 2 hours, you want to make sure you are moving your legs if you can. When you are able to navigate throughout the cabin, I would stand, maybe walk the aisle, definitely visit the restroom and empty your bag. Even if you really don't need to, I would, just to get up and move. But also the doctor recommends pumping your legs. So kind of, going from heel to toe, rotating, rolling the foot, making sure you are pumping your calf muscles to keep blood from pooling in the calves, the lower legs. So being post-op, you are at an elevated risk of blood clots. So that is why travel for prolonged hours is not really recommended. But with safety tips, you can pull it off. It's just not ideal. On the topic of traveling in a vehicle, if you know that you will most likely need to drive within that prescribed amount of time that you have your catheter, for myself, it's, again, 26 days. If I knew I'm going to have to get out and get groceries or run and, pick up a package or something, things you're going to have to get out and do if you have an appointment. If you can, ask your discharging nurse to affix the leg stabilizer device that holds the tube from your genital area to the leg, that tubing, that securing device. If they have that on your right leg, you can request to have that positioned on your left. The reason being, if you are driving, your right leg is now fully able to navigate between the pedals a little more quickly and safely. We don't have any tubing in the way. It's just a whole lot safer. So I would recommend that. But my discharge paperwork actually said to not drive for the first 4 to 7 days. So I have not. If you are even going to be a passenger in a vehicle, it does say on the topic of travel, either way, air travel or in a vehicle, they don't recommend anything longer than 4 hours. If you do, if something happened, you had an emergency, you have to make a trip, make sure you make several attempts to take breaks. Excuse me. I noticed that my tubing would not be flowing adequately. I would notice that things seemed to be pooling, or the collection bag wasn't quite filling. It just kind of seemed like things weren't working like they do when I'm home. So I would take lots of breaks. If you can, maybe every 30, 45 minutes, have the person stop the car and just stand. If you have the full collection bag and you would prefer that over the leg bag, absolutely, I would still stand and just let gravity do its magic, especially if you start having bladder spasms, which I was having. Make sure you do stand and let things drain, because a lot of times things are getting full and we don't want the bladder filling, right? You want to make sure things are flowing into the tube, away from the body, into the bag. So lots of breaks. Also in the vehicle, you want to make sure you are pumping your legs and moving your legs and preventing any kind of blood from pooling in the lower legs. So again, I would either stand and just kind of, take turns stretching your legs, or even walk around the car once or twice. That is absolutely fine too. And if you can, visit a restroom and empty that bag as frequently as you can. And make sure you're doing everything, of course, in a sanitary manner. My discharge paperwork says to wipe the little nozzle, the drainage nozzle, with alcohol. I wanted to prevent touching that at all possible, so I have a little like a fine mist sprayer that I just filled with 90% alcohol, and that's what I use. I would take that with you. Sanitize your hands before and after touching that nozzle, by the way. And also, if you were like in a public restroom, don't let that nozzle touch anything at all. And then spray it with that alcohol before putting it in the little cap stowing device and securing it to the bag. And of course, wash your hands as well. On the topic of bags, so your bag, kind of go out of frame here, your bag has this little hook most of the time, which is really great. So this will hang on the door, either the door handle or any part of the door framing. It'll hang there. A lot of times they have this little string as well. You could either tie this around something or hang it that way. The big thing is, with being in the vehicle, you don't want your collection bag to be touching the floorboard. So many germs, so gross. You don't want that. So even if you have to hold it, in one of our pickups I kind of have to hold it, you want your collection bag to always be lower than your hips, lower than your bladder, because you want the bladder here, you want the collection bag down here, so things are draining away from the body. You can, if you prefer, you can request at the hospital. They will probably give you at least one of these anyway, but my hospital actually gave me two, and I guess it's because I'm going to have this for so long. This does say single use. This is the leg bag, barred disposal bag. So I would use this kind of as a last minute alternative if I really had to get into the grocery store, or if I just had a day where I was going to run all my errands, gas up my truck, whatever I need to do. I would use one of these. That way you can have everything totally hidden and secured. No one's looking like, ooh, that person has a catheter. It's totally discreet. The only thing is, and this does have the strap that will secure it to any part of your thigh, just depending on how long that tubing is. Mine, the last time I had this, it was kind of in the middle of my thigh. So it's still positioned low enough to where it'll work, but the only thing is, this bag filled up within an hour and a half. I mean, it was full, and I felt very uncomfortable. So I wore this. I travel about 30-45 minutes to get to my doctor's appointment. By the time I got there and signed in, I felt that it was getting full. Maybe it could have taken a little bit more, but you don't want these to get very full. So the leg bag, that's the one thing, is like you have more clothing options. You can wear like jeans and things a little more easily. I would wear something like a jogger pant, something that does not fit so close to the body, so you can access it very easily. So these are really great, and I would request an extra one. Like I said, make sure they send you home with maybe 2 of those. So they're great, and it is, honestly, it's nice to have that option if you want to get out and about. You don't want everyone looking at you carrying this bag. I don't like them, and that's the main reason, is they do fill so quickly. I drink a lot of water, so depending on, if you're on like diuretics or something, or if you just drink a lot of water, that might fill even more quickly. By the way, big disclaimer, do not ever fall asleep or go to bed at night, or whenever you will be sleeping with the leg bag attached. When you get back home, wash your hands. Always make sure you practice good hand hygiene and switch back to your regular full catheter drainage bag. Never ever sleep with these on. They will rupture, and that's dangerous. Now, if you're not crazy, I'll make this quick here. If you're not crazy about the idea of the leg bags, because I'm not either, there are a few options. So you can order, and I saw them on Amazon and also a few different like medical supply stores, either in your area or online. There are several, but Amazon, probably the quickest you can find that. There is a little bag. It's like an over-the-shoulder crossbody tote bag that you could purchase for these. And it's really cool because they have some that are kind of like nondescript, like beige, black, gray, whatever, and it would just kind of blend in. It just kind of looks like a bag. Even for a man, it would just look like a tote or a bag that you're carrying. There's not very, it doesn't look like a purse. They're really cool because they have the fabric that covers the whole of the bag, but also the elasticated portion of fabric that will go over the tubing like this. It'll go over all the tubing. That way it goes right up to the hemline of your pant leg or skirt or sweatpants or whatever you're wearing, and it just kind of blends in. So on that topic, I don't worry about everyone looking at me. I feel like most people, when they're out and about, myself included, I'm just doing my thing. If I'm going into the post office, I'm doing my thing in the post office. I'm not like examining the person in front of me like, ooh, what's that? So take that with a grain of salt. I don't suffer vanity. I don't feel like everyone is looking at me. I'm not a celebrity. I just blend right in. And most of the time, everyone else is doing the same. But if you have to get out and about, those bags are really cool. I want to say they're in the range of about $25. You also could fashion, if you have a bag or a tote of some kind. I'm all about not spending money unnecessarily if you don't have to. As long as it's clean and sanitary, you could probably use a tote bag or a purse. I would line it with like a plastic bag, maybe tie a plastic bag around it. then drop it into that bag, but that might afford you a little more privacy, and not everyone is just looking at your collection bag. So I hope that helps. I will have a few more videos on this channel on just kind of living with a bag. What's it like to, have a catheter collection bag and a urinary catheter? What's it like to, shower and get dressed and everything as well? So let me know down below what questions you have, and I hope to bring you more information, hopefully, in the future. But thank you so much for watching, and have an awesome rest of your day.